Thank you for the committee for asking us to present this paper. This is a paper which is very close to our heart here in Brisbane. And I've been using mixed reality technology now as a routine for most of open surgery, shoulder surgery, almost all arthroplasty and sports injuries for over 18 months to 2 years now. So these are my disclosures, and one of the key disclosures here is most of the technology which we've used is developed in-house by a company called ECUADOR, which I have founded. So there are conflicts of interest associated with that, but none for the study. So what is mixed reality? We know that mixed reality is a real-time interaction with virtual objects in a real-world environment. It uses a headset and it uses light to beam holograms into space, and then we can manipulate these holograms and look beyond. And because it's a mixed environment, it's called mixed reality, different to a virtual reality where you cannot see the real environment. So as I mentioned, I've been using mixed reality for a while now, and one of the first cases we did using mixed reality a while ago was a patient with a large Hill-Sachs deformity, and we were able to measure the graft dimensions and the size of the defect and affix an allograft for the large Hill-Sachs. I've been using mixed reality for single stage revision shoulder arthroplasty for a better part of 18 months. And to me, this has got significant advantages in being able to figure out what defect will be left with once the metalware is all removed. And we use the technology developed by ECUADOR to perform metal segmentation algorithms where we can subtract all the metal out and then be able to reconstruct what the glenoid will look like once the base plate and the stems are removed. And following this, you can see that the mixed reality right now helps us position the guide wire in a real-time environment. We've also used mixed reality for other revisions, especially I find it very useful in building an APC in cases of proximal humeral bone deficiency. The technology uses both side CT scans to accurately measure the humeral defect, or this can be measured using statistical shape methodology. And then we can organize a size match proximal humeral graft. And the holograms always help us to, it helps me a lot to create the step cut osteotomy and the ensuring that correct length is incorporated, as often if the APC is too long, it may lead to plexus stretch and iatrogenic nerve injuries. This was the case which I mentioned, where in sports injuries we had a young gentleman who had a huge engaging Hill-Sachs, which is evident here, and we were able to use the technology again using mixed reality to customize a site and size specific allograft, and then this allograft was used to reconstruct the defect. You can see here the defect is quite similar to the mixed reality hologram. And then we could organize a size matched graft, which was quite amazing because this was one of our first clinical cases which we performed using MR tech, where we could create a really site-specific, sorry, I'll play this again, customized graft. And that's the graft which we created. And because we had all the measurements and the size, the graft fitted in quite nicely. So you could see the MR recon with the graft in situ, and then I had the graft there, and because it's size match, we slightly always tend to oversize the graft a little bit so that it is a snug fit, but you can see it fits in quite nicely. And it really made the workflow quite efficient and made the whole procedure quite reliable. So now the question comes is, I know people all over the world have been using mixed reality technology, but is there any evidence behind it? Is it just a gimmick? Is it just because we like playing with tech as surgeons and it helps us improve as surgeons? But does it actually improve the technology, and does it improve the accuracy of what we're trying to achieve? So we set about doing a validation study for guide wire positioning in shoulder arthroplasty. The study's taken us a long time to achieve because there was a lot of challenges in getting this study done in a gold standard fashion. And what we wanted to do is use the reliability of MR guidance in guide wire positioning and comparing this with surgical experience and technical techniques. So we had three techniques. We had a freehand, we had mixed reality, and we had Vicon tracking, which was the navigation as the gold standard. We had two surgeons, two subspecialist shoulder surgeons, one which was me, who's had experience with using mixed reality for a while, and another very senior subspecialist shoulder surgeon who's never used mixed reality. So there's a difference there in the technology. And then we had a junior fellow who's just started shoulder surgery, who had no access to mixed reality and hadn't done a lot of clinical cases before. We took 5 patients. We had 1 healthy patient, we had 2 with mild osteoarthritis, and 2 with quite severe deformity. And what we did is then we printed a whole heap of 3D printed models of these deformities to conduct inter and intra-observer reliability. So we had over 60 specimens. So this is the pathway. CT scans, 3D models, 3D printed them, and then the preoperative planning was provided by Acuna using their proprietary software. Testing was performed, and then we're going to CT scan each guide wire position post-operatively and then measure the entry point version and inclination based not just on Vicon but CT as well to further add to the accuracy of our findings. So in step number 1, we do this in freehand. Step number 2, we overlay the hologram onto the 3D printed bone, and this is an image of the overlay. And in step 3, we use Vicon test or navigation to help us with guide wire positioning. Now, here are the results. Very interesting. We found that freehand, there was a big variability in the offset of the guide wire position in terms of degrees. Quinn Throckmorton had published quite a few years ago that there was a 7 to 9 degree variability in freehand guide wire positioning, and which is something which is represented here in our findings as well, where there was a difference inversion by around 2 degrees, but the inclination varied from up to 10 degrees. This significantly improved using mixed reality technology, and as you can see with Vicon, it was very, very accurate, or navigation was very accurate. When we look at the different skills of surgeons doing this, so far these are our preliminary results. You can see that the shoulder subspecialist is in dark purple. The version offset, if you look at the difference in the version offset was quite different between freehand versus Vicon, but it was much better in mixed reality. If you look at the inclination offset, the inclination offset was still much better using mixed reality compared to the Vicon. The difference in the graph here in the mixed reality technique is because of one of the specimens which had quite severe deformity. I think there was an issue with overlaying the hologram, which was a very interesting finding for us intraoperatively, and I think these results will get ironed out as we start doing inter and intra-observer reliability differences and doing it with the other surgeons. So this is the box plot which shows where the Vicon is the red, which is smack bang in the middle in terms of trajectory offset. The blue is the mixed reality, which is much closer to the Vicon, and then the green is the freehand, which is far away. As you can see that there's two significant outliers with the mixed reality, which corresponded to the glenoid specimen with the 35-degree retroversion. So these are our preliminary results, which do show that mixed reality shows improvement in clinical guidance. We did find that the version was better in terms of ICC and reliability using mixed reality, and which is very accurate with the navigation. So that there are technical challenges still. The technology is in evolution and development, but I do think that as time goes by, this is definitely something which is worthwhile, and more surgeons globally are going to embark on the journey of using MR tech. Thank you so much.